Welcome to Knowing Who You Are, and we welcome you to the weekly show. It's the weekly conversations with Ershad and Marco, where coaching meets real life. Every Tuesday, you get to see a new episode, and we tackle questions that we have to deal with every day-to-day life, and how we deal with this one, what questions we can ask, and what other different solutions there are that we can apply in our own lives. And this is what we're going to talk about today. And I have with me, as you know from the name as well, Marco Stefano. So Marco, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, I mean, having you again, the fun part is that weekly conversations with Ershad and Marco, it won't happen if Marco's not there. So I have to have you there. I'm bound. But also it's a pleasure to have you because I enjoy this conversation. And also we have a lot of interesting and positive feedbacks, even from the first episode, and people are liking it. So we are talking about a very interesting topic. We touched up on grief and loss last week. And this week we are going to talk about success. But it's more about what does success look like when no one's watching? How do you define success yourself? Because for every different human being, the idea of success more or less a little bit different. But to be honest with you, with some caution, I would say that these days, I think success more or less means one or two things. Would you agree with me?
Well, depends what those two things are.
Yeah, it's more like, okay, you having a good time or you are spending some time, but it has to be only good. You're having some food, it has to look good, and it has to be the good food. Good food, it doesn't mean that healthy or something, but it has to look good on camera or on picture. Yeah. You are somewhere, be in a park or in a place where you are there just because you want to feel a little bit calmer and you want to have a good time. But even that place has to look very good. I mean, It has to look the best, if I'm not wrong, and better than anyone else's. I mean, that's what success means these days. I mean, that's what I see, that there's a race going on.
Yes. So are you saying it feels more about an image, the appearance, the environment, because indirectly we associate that, and if that looks good, then I appear to be successful.
Yeah, because it feels like, okay, Marco told me that he has did this kind of day today. And then I feel like, oh, Marco seemed to have a very successful day. So my day has to be even more successful than his. Otherwise, my day hadn't been successful.
Oh, there's then the comparison going on.
That comparison, exactly. So I think we can start with that. Or if you want to start from a different place, please do so.
Well, I think it's an interesting one. For me, if I hear the word success, the first things that pop in my head is, well, how would I define it? To me, success means, have I lived my why to the best of my ability?
Mm-hmm.
Have I add meaning to someone, and I'm trying to do that on a day-to-day basis, not as a performance, I need to hit my target, but it's more, am I intentional, open to people around me? Do I listen? Do I talk to strangers? So for me, it's not about material possession. Possessions is nice to have and to enjoy, but it's very temporary.
But even that has a ceiling too. I mean, any possession you want to have, fine. One thing is there's a ceiling in terms of bringing you happiness, but again, that's limitless. If you think about possessions, how many of even a single object you think about, how many of that can you have? And to be honest with you, there's no limit. Because the world we live in, it's so driven by consumerism that there are a lot of things. You open your phone or anywhere you go, there's advertisement coming. Okay, you need to have that. And if you don't have that particular thing, you're missing something. So people wake up in the morning with the idea of thinking that what's missing in my life rather than thinking what's moving, you know? Like, okay, there's something going on which is really good in my life. What's that? We don't think about that. We just think, okay, wow, this is there in the market and I don't have that. I have to have it. And that's what I've seen. Because funnily enough, I'd like to share here probably, I love watches. So say, for example, there was it was like a forum, or you can say like an app for watch lovers. I'd been there and I was part of a member, but I have come out of there within 2 weeks probably. Because what happened, it was nice. I thought that, okay, because a thing you like, say I like fountain pen, I like journaling. So fountain pen, this is another thing. I just sometimes just look at them. It's not that I have to have them, but interesting, you know, like watches, interesting. But I've stopped doing that too because it has created some kind of abomination in me that it's not about what you like. It's more about what you have and whether you can display that to the world and how expensive it is and what you can afford. So it's not about a normal person who probably likes, say, $10 or £10 Casio watch, say, for example, but he loves that. That's how it should work. But then he has no place there because he has a place, I mean, because he's a member. But the thing is that there's so many other people showing their £20,000 Rolex or something that is totally overshadowed. And he feels like, what's the point of me showing my £10 watch?
Well, but that's an interesting one. And I would immediately try to challenge that.
Mm-hmm.
What causes for him to doubt that his $10 or whatever it was is less? You see, I don't know if this links. A few weeks ago, I treated myself to go to a 5-star hotel. Right, I walked in and gave myself a nice cup of mocha.
Uh-huh.
And I got 4 cookies.
Uh-huh.
It was the ambiance, which I really enjoy. I like beauty, I like art, I like, nice things. And I had a lovely conversation with the waitress about hospitality and the differences and the experience that I had with different hotels. Now, the coffee was quite high in price, but to me that was not the point. I liked the ambiance.
By the way, did you take a picture and post it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you have to.
I did.
You have to show where you are, take a selfie, and take a picture of the coffee.
But to me, and this is the interesting thing, for me it was just enjoyment. I don't do it because I want to appear I'm posh, I've achieved something. I don't really care about that. Now I'll give you an example why I had this discussion with this waitress. He said I had 2 hotels, both 5-star premium, very posh. The first one I walked in, I wasn't allowed because my shoes didn't met a certain standard. And I was a bit surprised, and I smiled and said, and I know what? He said, well, you can get in, but you need to change your shoes, and then you can walk in.
Because you were wearing trainers or something?
No, leather shoes.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
So as soon as I walked in, then I saw other people walking around with their trainers. So for me it felt like, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? Right? So if you talk about hospitality, it had a very different feel. It was as if I need to meet a certain standards to come in. If I don't meet it, well, then you're kind of welcome, but there are some conditions. Now, I compared that with another hotel, and that was like, wow. I came in, the person basically said, how are you today, sir? And I said, well, I'm new here in London, not too long, and I'm interested in this hotel because I was a designer in my earlier career about brand identity, and they did this whole rebranding, and I thought I really wanted to pay a visit. And the person started to show me around in the hotel,
wow.
showed the history, Went downstairs. I didn't know there are many levels underground, which was amazing. I saw the spa, I saw the swimming pool. But it was so personal. She asked questions, but she also shared, the history, people who have visited, etc. Now, guess the difference.
Yeah, but you had the sanity or also the resilience, the mental resilience to think that what I enjoy, it's not about the five-star hotel, but it's the ambience and also hospitality. That's what you valued. But going back to that 10-pound watch story, we are social animals, right? We are very social, and we get affected by this acceptance and what we have, what we don't have, or am I good enough? It's almost like the spotlight effect. Like everyone is looking at me, everyone is laughing at me. Oh my God, we are talking about this 20,000 pound things. The admins, they would say that, hey, don't worry about it. It's about everyone and buy whatever you want. But the thing is that there are certain people, they won't stop. They will keep on saying, posting pictures, look what I've got. So I think I'm just giving you, it's like a microcosm. This forum, Watch Forum, is just an example, the overall picture of the world, what's going on. It's more about showing that, look, how successful I am. I mean, again, going back to the idea of success, because that's how we measure now. And when you think about that, then most of the time, even the most sane and intelligent person, and they have all the ideas, suddenly you feel like, have I made the right decision in my life? Am I really successful? Am I doing the right thing? Have I chosen the right path? So that's where I'm coming from. There's a columnist and social commentator, David Brooks. He introduced this interesting idea about two kind of virtues in the world. One is your resume virtue. Another one is his eulogy virtue. This virtue, the resume one, is more about, look, how much I get paid, what's my salary, what my skill, what my title. I'm a lawyer, doctor, engineer, or then you have different levels of how many different titles you can put at the end of your name. That's my resume virtue. But then the eulogy virtue is more about, say you're dead, what they're talking about, how they're talking about you. So end of the day, we are chasing now more the resume virtue. Say, when I was growing up, probably you were growing up, we are contemporaries almost. I heard, we read, we studied at school that don't tell a lie, always speak the truth. Honesty is the best policy. Now these things are there, we know, but no one talks about it. Did you do all your homework? What was the result of your test? This is what we are more concerned about, because that's what we think would matter end of the day. And when you grow up, you have this security, and with that, you feel like you can be successful. I mean, this is what I see all around. And there are people I know that they have achieved quite a lot. And as you say, the contentment. And they feel like, no, it's not good enough. But to be honest with you, for many people, it's their dream life, which they will probably never have in their entire life. Yes, but they have it, and they're still not happy. They're striving for the next one.
Yes, and that's basically a moving goalpost, and that tends to happen the more wealthier people become. Interestingly, now you touched upon it, I wrote an article about it on LinkedIn about the higher your net worth, the more you will need to be intentional to stay grounded in your humanity. Because this is what I've noticed. I mean, even my experience in the hotel. Because I think about these things. So I said, this was a lovely experience, right? But one thing that stuck with me was, Marco, if I have this as an ongoing default mode, always in this kind of environment, I start to desensitize myself from the reality that's outside. Because this is the way how I live life. And that to me is the biggest problem, that when I have not a problem with wealth in itself in a sense, it's what it is doing to us, and that it starts to desensitizing us from people who are facing different challenges in life, and we can't connect with them anymore because it either doesn't bother us, but we can't empathize with them anymore because we are insulated by our own wealth that gives a sense of protection, a sense of appearance. To me, be honest, it can be a curated image of status, how I appear to the outside world, because if that looks good, then I give the impression I'm successful. And I joke sometimes about it, again, in my conversation with strangers, and he was a suit maker, right? And a good suit can cost you 5K, if not more.
Yeah. And
so he asked, what do you do? I said, well, I work with people's internal suit. And he said, what do you mean? He said, well, a lot of people I've noticed spend money on the external and pay no attention or spend no time on what's going on inside of them or what happens between the ears. Which most of the time cause most of the problems in their lives, whether it's in leadership, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in their profession, you name it. And so I rather spend 5K in improving my mental state, my emotional intelligence, my listening skills, because I know if I do that better, it will improve my quality of relationships, it will improve my leadership, and therefore the quality of my life. I don't mind to have a nice suit, please hear me, but I think we get it completely out of balance.
I mean, if you look at that, what's the purpose of a suit? A good one, I understand. What's the purpose of a shoe? Let's start with that. Just to protect your feet. So that's why you have it. But then you see there are shoes, 3,000 pounds, because it has that leather, that croc leather, or this or that, whatever that is. But the question is, I would like to share with people here, we are not bashing anyone and we are not displaying inverted snobbery like, okay, we don't use that, that's why we don't like it. It's not about that.
No.
But the problem is that people feel guilty to have a normal life now. Back in the days, even my father, I would say, he was a successful man in the society with business and everything. But at the same time, he's not a super well-known man. He's not a celebrity or anything. He was happy with his family. Simple. In the evening, he would come back from work. He would ask me and my brother and his wife, my mom, let's go out. So in our town, the only place where you could have some fun in the evening, you go by the beach. And it's a port city. So you have a sea beach. That's the only place. I mean, now there are a lot of other options. I mean, most of the options are like going to a food court, to be honest. Back in the days, he would just drive. And we probably 7 out of 7 days a week, we would go there probably 4 days, 5 days. Same routine. So we knew that in the evening, once we have done our studies, we'll wait for dad to come home. And he will be like, how about going out? So on our way home, way back home, what he would do, he would stop by a restaurant and it served the same food, which we had probably yesterday or the day before. It's a routine. He'll just pick it up. But the thing is that it was so much fun. We would listen to music most of the time. Okay, there's new music that I wanted to play. I was, say, at the time, 12, 14 years old. And this new music, which my parents didn't like, but I wanted to play and listen to it through the car stereo. So I would put it and subject them to that ordeal, and they would have to go through it. But the thing is that this whole memory of it still very much alive in my mind.
Yes.
But that's a normal life. And we have no picture of those moments. I'm sharing this with you, and you get to know, but I have no picture on my phone, because back in the days anyway, there was no smartphone. But still, I still remember it because I lived through that moment. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
And that was, for us, a normal moment. We weren't doing it for anyone else.
Yeah.
We were doing it just for ourselves to have fun. And my dad wanted to spend time with his family after a day's hard work.
Yeah.
And end of the day, it was a normal life. He was no celebrity. People around his circle, in his network, business network, and everyone, they used to know his name and everything. But apart from that, if you mention, it didn't make any sense or make any difference to anyone's life. But he was happy. But problem nowadays is that if your life is not out there and it doesn't look special, it's not normal, it can't be normal. You cannot be a father or a mother or a partner and coming home, spending time with your family and doing nothing, you're a failure. Even though you're happy with whatever you have, you had a good day, you are having a good evening sitting in front of the television or having dinner together or chatting or playing. Sometimes I jump onto a bus in the evening rather than driving. Why? Because a bus would take you by different houses.
Yeah.
And I see through the windows what people are doing. I mean, I'm just sharing it. People might think, oh my God, Ershad, you're a voyeur. But the thing is, it's more about how people are spending their evening. It's so much fun. Sometimes I see there's a dad sitting there and a small daughter is playing and the dad is watching.
Yeah.
That's something, it's so gratifying just to see that moment. And he doesn't have his phone out and taking a selfie and doing a FaceTime showing people what I'm doing at home tonight. He's just sitting there and no one gets to see it. I saw it as a stranger.
Yeah, so as an outsider.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, that's the beauty of a normal life, and that feels like success, because end of the day, when you're gone, I lost my father 1.5 years ago. Even I don't remember him every day. I don't think of him every day. It comes up now and then, but it's not that every day I'm thinking about him. And many people already forgot. If I go back in a city and tell them, do you know this guy? They say, who's that? But it's 1.5 years ago he died. And 10 years time, I think his memory would be totally vanished. But still, we think that our success is how much we have shown to the world. I mean, after 50 years of your death, I don't know my great-grandfather's name. You probably know. You'd be better if you know that. I don't know. I can't tell you. But I know his face. I've spent time with him in my childhood. But I don't know his full name. I don't know his proper name. Nothing. I had a nickname for him, how I used to call him, and that's all I know. But the thing is that he was there. I have his memory. And there would be a time when I'll be gone. And he's gone too. Because I'm the only one who's carrying it in my mind. So that's what I'm saying. The success is that in that moment, we have 3 different time frames: past, present, and the future.
Yeah.
Past is like an illusion, that movie that was played. You can remember, but that's very selective. But the moment I'm talking to you now, if I can listen to you, what you're saying, and as you're listening, I mean, this is also like a display for people. I feel like when we have this conversation, how we listen to each other, you know? I mean, I sometimes feel like, okay, Marco, am I boring you? We get to share with each other and we are listening. And this space we are giving, this present moment. So when I finish the show, recording and everything, I go back and I think, oh, what Marco said, that was nice, actually. That made me think, because I was listening to you or you're listening to me.
Yeah.
But then there's a future. Either we can get scared, fearful about that, or we can just use that as a strategy. Okay, I need to do my recording, say, for example. I made the plan yesterday. I am doing this recording today. So that's like a future thing. Strategic planning, done. But I didn't think, oh my God, would I be able to open my mouth with the things in my head that I have? Can I even articulate those things to Marco? And what the recording would be like? Would it go wrong? You know? So these are the ways. So only moment it shows that when we're living is the present moment.
Yeah.
And if we can be present there and just able to be ourselves, I think that's where success lies. Sorry, it's a big conversation.
No, it's a good conversation. I think what pops up in with that, which I think underpins this drive for success, this drive for achieving, this drive for I need my next promotion, or I need a bigger house, a better car, or a bigger watch, or you fill in. I sometimes think that performance drive, that performance orientation drive, the striving to achieve can be born out of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed with working with people, some of them very successful because they have big salaries, big houses, etc. And I can give you an example. One guy, very successful sales person, was made redundant. And initially he was very skeptical. He said, I don't need you. I'm a self-made man. So why the heck? And I thought, okay, let's have a conversation. And then I felt prompted to ask him a question, right? So what would happen to you if you lose all your money? That freaked him out. He said, tell me more. What's that about? And within an hour, we went deep to basically his upbringing, which was based on growing up in poverty, father alcoholic, abusive, mother volatile, not balanced either. He seemed to have a knack to sell stuff, hence why he has this huge talent. And it always got criticized, was not appreciated. And the difficulty with poverty basically created a mindset of, I will never, ever be poor. And so when I asked him this question, what would happen to you if you lose all your money? It shook his foundation. Now, this is what I've noticed with a lot of high achievers. They're so striven to achieve, to have a success, because it proves to them that they have the justification to exist and that they earn a place. But if they fail, they lose a sense of belonging and they fear that they're not good enough. And most of the time that's birthed in an environment that is harsh, demanding, critical, love that is conditional. Now, compare it to somebody who is loved for who they are. They do the best. You fail? Okay, try again. We are in your corner. That creates a very different understanding of standing in life, which to me is much more balanced, because it realizes I have my place already, so I have nothing to lose.
That's why he said that strivers have the loneliest of lives, because you have a lot of deal friends, not real friends.
Yeah, friends by association. A lot of people associate with you because they of what you can do for them via them. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's basically
it's
not about you. Oh, you are famous, so I connect with you because you're famous. I get now in contact with somebody else, and that is really profitable because then I maybe get a deal.
Exactly, because that's one of the reasons why there is a thing about taking selfies with celebrities, right? Which I have never done in my life. Just last month I have done it, but it's not because he was a celebrity. He's a musician, and since my childhood I play guitar. I've been listening to him, I've been studying him, I've been trying to play like him. I adopted many of his styles. He's an Australian musician, but he was settled in America. I think now he moved in Italy.
Yeah.
So it just came that he was in London, and he doesn't come to London that often as well. So he came with his band. He's a jazz guitarist called Frank Gambale. And I went there. I had another concert ticket in my hand for that evening. I gave it to someone else. So they enjoyed, they had great time. But I thought, what am I going to do? I have to buy this ticket. I have to go and see him.
Yes.
And the experience was amazing. Such good time. And after it came out, he said, okay, after the show, I'm going to sign my CDs. I'm going to have a chat with you, whoever is interested to buy my CDs and come and see me. I was thinking, do I need to do that? I had good time. But I was so tempted. Like this guy, I always found him, he's such a jovial guy. He's like a school, his style is the style that everyone follows. And even the guy who used to teach me guitar in England as well, he even wrote articles about him.
Yes.
So then after the show, I was queuing up because Esther was pushing me. No, you got to do that. You have to meet him. That's your hero, your childhood hero and lifetime, you can say. And you need to go and talk to him and tell him at least that how much you admire his playing and him as a musician, as a composer. I said, okay. And then it turned out money transfer, buying his CD is another problem. Internet wasn't that good that area and he's only taking cash. We weren't carrying cash. But Esther went out, took some cash out and everything we went through, queuing up. And finally my turn came. I went to him and he's like, okay. I said, Frank, I need to tell you one thing. All my life, this is what I have been doing. I could never be like you, but many of my styles, that the way I play is just borrowed from your thing. And this is the first thing I studied in my life. When I didn't know anything, this is the first thing I learned. And then he started saying, look, this is what you do. You practice this, practice that. Trust me, that moment transformed. And that picture, Esther was there. She was like, okay, let me take the picture. And then all three of us, people took our picture and I was talking to him. There was a video as well. That was my only known selfie moment. Yeah. With a celebrity. I knew other celebrity I have known in my life. I've been very close to them, very friendly, but on a personal level. I never feel the urge to take a picture with them because my thing is, it's disrespectful to that person if you really love him. Yeah. Because you are demeaning that relationship, the meaningful relationship, by selling it out. And he's my product. Today I want to be famous and that's my product I'm using. This is my media for me to become the famous person today by this selfie. Yeah. I've never done it. So this is the way I feel like one problem, as I was saying, that we are scared of being normal because we're striving for this resume virtue and we have to be special. If you're not special, then you have no place in the world. There's this competition, like the idea of failure. If you are nobody and if you just have a normal life, then you're a failure. This is the concept. But then
I would like to flip it on its head.
Yeah, please. Challenge me.
Because who's telling us that you are nobody?
Yeah.
Who's telling you that you have to be compared with, I don't know, celebrity? And to be honest, most celebrities I don't inspire. The lifestyle that they have, I'm not impressed. I don't need 14 houses. I don't need 3 airplanes. I don't need the jeans for $200,000 to show around.
Yeah.
To me, if I'm really honest, I think that's not good stewardship. But who am I to say that?
Yeah.
If I have 200,000 to spend, I will definitely not spend it on a jean. I think it comes back to, and this is where the crunch line is, who am I? Am I enough? I don't have to prove myself to anyone because I know my value. My price is priceless. And I think that has to do with confidence, has to do with identity, being secure in how you see yourself, how you embrace yourself, how you stand in life, knowing your value, knowing your worth, knowing your significance. And you don't really care if people like it or hate it because you're secure. Because this is what I've noticed.
But what gives you that security? How can people have that security in their life?
Well, there's something you have. Well, for me, if I keep it personal, I had to work on that because I didn't got that when I grew up. So for me, I had to go on a journey of, well, where does my value lie? Am I enough? And so I had to dig deep. And I think this sounds maybe strange to say, but when I went through my trauma 10 years ago, rock bottom, that is now has been my gift. Because you see, once you've lost everything in life, you get stripped from all that you're attached to.
That fear is gone.
Well, you thought it was important, and now you realize either it was given away without my knowledge, or it was, I couldn't keep it because I had no space for it anymore. But I began to realize, where do I attach myself to? And what I see with people around me, they attach their value to a Gucci, a handbag, an Armani suit, a big car, a big house. And if you take that away from them, they don't know who they are.
Exactly. Because that's what I like about. Do you know about this happiness longitudinal study that in America, 86-year-old long study? Yeah, that's been going on, and that's still going on. But we started with people when they're very young. They're probably baby boomers at the time. And from that point, they grew old. Many of them died. But then their sons and daughters, and now they have grandchildren. And they are also the subjects.
Yeah.
But in that, everyone's happiness indicators, whenever they're talking about it, and what matters, end of the day, it came out that what makes us happy is those connections we make in our lives. And especially, this is another thing, Harvard professor Arthur C. Brooks, he talks about, he teaches happiness. And he says there are 4 things, like 3 F's and 1 W, which is like your faith. Faith is not the religion. It's like something that's beyond you, whatever that is, and that's transcendental. And so you have that belief, which is whatever spirituality you have. That's one thing. Then your family. A family that someone, you pick up the phone, you don't have to think about it. It's 2:00 in the morning. You need them. You call them, they say, okay, yeah, what's the problem? How can I help? Your friends. And that's friends, as I was saying, your real friends who would listen to you. As last week we were talking about being hospitable. So who would be hospitably listening to your problem without trying to solve your problem, giving you a solution. And the last one is work. And the work that you get rewarded for, and also that a service you provide to people who really need it.
Yeah.
These are the things, end of the day, that brings you happiness. And also, also your success indicator.
Yes, I like the wording, although I would rephrase it possibly differently. For me, it comes back to knowing your why. Mark Twain said there are 2 days important in your life. I would say there's 3 days. I will explain it in a sec. The first day is the day you're born. And the second day is when you discover why you exist. But I would say the third day is the day that you die, because that will prove or not whether you lived your why. Because you can discover your why, but are you living it? And to me, that is more fulfillment than happiness, because happiness is a byproduct. Fulfillment goes much more deeper. Because that, as you say, is transcendent. It is about a bigger picture. And it's interesting that people who go through adversity and challenges, they recover quickly as soon as they start to realize life is not about me. How can I change this or turn this around in the service of other people? Compared to people who stay stuck because it's all about them. They blame or they shame or they play the victim role, and they can't, and therefore as a consequence are not happy, even they have everything that maybe people can dream of. So for me, happiness is a byproduct, and fulfillment is what really gives me most satisfaction. So, and that explains that I had on days where I had maybe no income, but had 3 people conversations with. They were strangers, and something changed for them.
Yeah.
Now, people could say, yeah, but how can you do that? You need to make a living. I say, oh, I know that. And of course, I run a business, so I create something that adds value to people, but it will not stop me wherever I am to live my purpose.
But also, probably you are comfortable with uncertainty because
Oh, yes.
having a business, it means that there are a lot of uncertainties. As you said, there are moments, okay, since you're a coach, you through your business, you have clients, and then clients have the contract. The contract would run out at some point, fine. The new clients, sometimes it's not happening or you are in a different phase, but then that brings definitely uncertainty. And if you're not comfortable with this one, what you're saying now, just what you said, that in terms of, okay, yeah, I need money too, but I run a business, but still I'm happy with that conversation I had with 3 people and changed their life.
Yes, but you see, uncertainty is an interesting one, and this is to do with my writing, because I'm really playing with a title which is Dancing with Uncertainty. Which will be my book about, because I think we need to change our relationship, how we see and deal with uncertainty. Because uncertainty, whether you like to hear this or not, will be part of life. It's also part of my research. I think it was Bruce Feller who wrote about life disruptions and life quakes. We will at least experience 40 in our human lifespan, if not more. And 5 of them or more will turn into life quakes. So they have basically more ramifications. And what I've noticed, the majority of people do not have the transitional intelligence how to navigate these challenges. And that's why so many people detour, derail, regress, stall, lose the plot. And part of that is, tying it back to happiness, we have so many hidden assumptions and expectation put on ourselves or by others that we think we ought to be here by now. Why the heck didn't it happen? And that creates a gap between this tension of our reality and what we would dream about, and it seems to be not being bridged, and therefore it creates frustration and discontent, and we think, well, we need to have it because then I will feel be happy.
That's the arrival fallacy, because that fallacy is that, okay, the moment I have achieved that, what I was striving for, then I'm done. And that's why most of the time, many celebrities who have achieved big things, have all the money, all the success, all the name, fame, everything, then you see they just hang themselves.
Yeah.
And why? That's a very interesting thing, that you had everything that I'm dreaming for, but you killed yourself. But the problem is that meaning, as you were talking about, and when do you do that? Because once you lose that meaning, and there's no point, because all you were striving for, and you were thinking that once you arrive there, but the whole process of the journey, as I say, that many people have this idea of, say, for example, say I would live up to 80 years, say, for example, as in I might die even earlier.
It'll be 120.
Yeah, as well. I don't know what the record is at the moment. I can either prolong it or I can feel that it was very short. How?
Yeah.
Say, for example, I set myself a 5-year goal, right? In the meantime, say today is 2026, as we are speaking, 5 years' time, 2031. I feel like when I arrive there and achieve that thing within that 5 years, that's when I have arrived at my success. But in the meantime, 5 years gone out of my limited, say, 8 year, 5 years gone. But every day there's some good moments, some highlights, small highlights. I'm getting to record this podcast as promised. That's a highlight that we are doing it. But I'm not thinking about this. I'm thinking, okay, end of this month we'll have 4. In 3 months, I'll have 8. So within a year, I'll have 48. And I'm just counting, okay, I've done 40. Until it's 48, I'm not enjoying the every episode. I'm just putting out like this. Then what happens is that once I arrive on the 48th one after a year, I'm like, my God, when did time fly? It was very short. Same thing for life as well. When we don't celebrate the small highlights and every day, every moment, even the smaller ones, it feels like life was from here to there. But in between all the process that you had been through, it wasn't there. And as you were talking about the changes and the discomfort that comes with it, that reminded me when I went back to the university again and studied with some 20-year-olds for my second degree, I had a huge change of my career and everything. During that time, it was quite uncomfortable at times. It's a new generation. They think differently, talk differently. But I learned a lot from them. And I was lucky, fortunate that how many people get to do that, be their classmates and their friends and learn from them. One thing. But during the time of discomfort, because our mind is programmed to keep us safe, anything that's uncertain, that you don't know about. But within that space, the thing that happens, we are very uncomfortable during that time. But now I have done it. I look back. The journey started nearly 7 years ago with the second degree, then the master's and everything. And I look back now, I feel like, wow, I can remember the days. What I did there, I didn't know about that. I had to learn about that. I gave myself 6 months. And at that time, I had to travel where I was living to come to the university in Surrey from Essex. 2 hours each way. So 4 hours. I would hold my iPad sometimes standing in a train. I would learn things which I didn't know about. I had to improve myself because assignments coming, I had no idea what I'm doing because I just took up this challenge back. During that time, it was very uncomfortable, very uncertain. But now when I look back, that's what gave me the growth, the changes. And this is what,
it's only
hindsight.
Uncomfortableness that we grow.
Yeah.
It's an uncertainty is the biggest fertile soil to grow. And once people understand that uncertainty is not your enemy, it's basically an opportunity, an invitation of creation, that changes the game.
Yeah.
Again, people are much wealthier than me, and they had a certain crisis in their lives, right? Which shook their confidence, and feeling overwhelmed and anxious. And they then say to me, well, I don't feel confident, and I don't think it's the right time now to start something. And then when they asked me, to share something of my story, I said, well, I started in a lifequake. I changed my career in a lifequake with a lot of aftershocks. And if I'm honest, in a deep traumatic fog.
Did you get to reinvent yourself during that time?
Yeah, but this is what people maybe not like to hear. It wasn't comfortable. The first 3 years, how I survived, it's sometimes really hard to recall. But I realized I need to find my why. That's why I'm possibly so strong in my why. My purpose was forged in the crucible. Not on a sandy beach, in a hotel, 5-star with privileges and luxury. I found my purpose in the midst of losing everything. And that galvanized something, that forced something in me. But I had to seek for it. And that quest created a kind of determination of, despite the pain, despite the chaos, and the uncomfortableness of how do I pay my bills, will I be homeless? In the midst of it, I realized if I can get hold of my sword of purpose, and I learn how to wield it by knowing who I am as a man and as a person, I will make it.
When you shared that situation, that the arrival again, and sitting on a beach, that's where you didn't find it. Because once you arrive there and there's nothing to strive for, I think the boredom hits very badly. I mean, what now? And
well, it's an interesting one. Just to jump on that thought,
please.
Right? Let's imagine you have no worries about how to pay for your food, for the dentist, for your hospital, for your car, whatever, because you're a billionaire. You have no concern whatsoever, right? Most people will have concerns, but you don't have concerns because it's not an issue. It's
Probably
never an
not
issue.
on that account, but concerns are somewhere else.
I know there will be other stress points,
Yeah,
but that will not be the ones, right?
exactly, yeah.
But what is then driving you? What is then making you stop out of bed each morning?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, oh, I need a bigger house, I need to earn more millions, I need to have more, I need a bigger boat, I need more status. What is it driving? Now, I found it interesting, and this maybe sounds a bit dark, but that is the reality. When it came to light what happened in Harrods with this billionaire, with his sex trafficking problem, I realized, what is it telling you about the lifestyle that somebody has? They could afford whatever, and yet they were corrupt in a sense of having no meaning, no purpose, only by using people.
Exactly.
You see, so for me, I'm not impressed if you are a billionaire. I'm more impressed how many lives have you impacted and have changed because they had an interaction with you and it made them at least better. You leave them improved and less worse off than without you. Now that impresses me. Now that to me, I would describe that as success.
No, I feel like that's the problem with the current world as well. If you see like this dark cycle that is happening, it comes from distrust as well. I mean, especially we cannot trust anyone. And we have let's start from there. We have this tendency, we have this bias towards negativity, right? Humans, anything that's negative, anything, say there's an accident, everyone stops their car and they have to look. Something has happened. If someone is driving past, they're happy and no issues, we don't care. But the moment something bad happens, that's when we get attracted. Say on YouTube as well, you create a thumbnail, there's a tendency, the algorithm pushes things, and the more you get click on the things, the more negative it sounds.
Yeah.
Why I don't like this? Things like that, straight away they will click that. We also cater to these things all around in the world, be it journalism, social media, the things we create, and we feel like we have to create this constant cycle. But the more of this negativity, what is creating is that the fear. So when you have that fear, the need for safety, the more and more we are thinking there's nothing we can trust. We don't, as you said, talking to strangers. You don't feel like talking to strangers. You feel like, what motive? Why is he or she is talking to me? What do they want from me? You know?
Yeah.
But please, join in. You want to say
Well,
something?
I think that trust issue, I take a very different take on that. I trust people, give them the benefit of the doubt unless proven otherwise. That doesn't mean I kiss my brain goodbye. It doesn't mean I use my intuition and my discernment. But I want to see the good in people. And if I have alarm bells wrinkling inside of me, of course I will listen. But I will not project that I can't trust anyone. Because if I take that route, you create your own prison.
Your preemptive vulnerability. Say, for example, you're like, okay, I'll be vulnerable, because the moment you open yourself to a stranger or someone you didn't know, you're a little bit vulnerable. Yeah, sometimes you'll get burned as well. But end of the day, if we keep on creating this cycle, then we can start building trust. And most of the time, to be honest with you, there had been moments I had conversations with my colleagues, with people I met. I shared a lot of details of my life. Many people feel like they cannot share. Like sitting here, how many times, like even last episode, you talked about your childhood. I'm telling about my losses and my failures and the things that had gone wrong, I didn't do right. This is total vulnerability that we're exposing and leaving it there online for years to come. People will go back, oh, okay, Ershad, you have done this. Okay, Marco, you have done that, right? That it's okay to be like that, because no one would care. And once we are gone, even if it's on the net, who cares? I won't even know. And I still don't bother. Once we are making ourselves vulnerable, and hardly the moment I had this conversation, being vulnerable, opening up to someone else, I didn't know that well. I felt we made a connection and hardly anyone complained.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the problems, and I have to share, I have to give credit to my wife, Esther, here. When we first met, we started living, she is very friendly. I think that's how she met you, and that's how I met you, because she introduced you to me.
Yeah.
Because she was your friend first.
Yeah.
And it was totally an accident. In a cafe, probably you guys were queuing up, and somehow two Dutch people, they started talking, right? That it would never would have happened, and I wouldn't be able to do this show with Marco, because I wouldn't know this Dutch guy out of nowhere, because I haven't met you. She introduced me to it, but how it happened? She started talking to this stranger.
Yeah.
And by chance, and there's no unpleasantness. Look, this is where we are. That's the result of that.
Yeah.
So how many times we do that? And many times when we first were together, Esther and I, we would go out, and sometimes say we are walking, and suddenly out of nowhere, she would see something and she would just go and start a conversation with someone. I'd be like, oh my God, I cannot be part of that. I'm not feeling like it. But you know, as they say, good things, they rub off on you. And also when you're with someone, good qualities, and we pick up bad qualities too, but the good ones definitely. Yeah. And now what happened, I don't feel that awkwardness in having conversation with strangers, and that helped me in life in many ways and helping me constantly. And also having this conversation, being vulnerable online, I don't care.
Well, the key is to remember is I'm also conscious, you know, this will be live and this will be recorded, and I do think you have to be discerning what will I share, what will not share, use wisdom in that. But for me, vulnerability is power. You see, and if people make judgment on me without knowing me, I think, well, I don't have the problem.
Exactly.
Right? It's only people who know me closer who will be able to relate or ask those questions. But if outsiders will make assumptions, draw conclusions without knowing me, I don't care. It's in their own heads about me without knowing me. Right? But going back to vulnerability, I think, and I want to highlight this too, I wasn't comfortable in my initial journey, in my starting my business, talking to strangers. When I did my training and changed my career, remember in the midst of the lifequake, I did my training in coaching, and then one of the things I realized, I need to practice my listening skills. What better way than with strangers? And it in the beginning felt very awkward, and I made some mistakes. Okay, that's fine.
So have I.
But the key was, and I wrote about this recently, I learned to connect with people. I learned to zoom in their life. I could find out in 10 minutes more about their life than they about me.
And people also remember you because you are the one who are interested about them.
Yeah.
And they felt, we were talking about it last week as well, they felt heard, understood.
Yeah.
And that's how most popular people in a circle are the ones who are not about themselves, who are more about people, and they're all ears. Okay, yeah, I'm interested in you. It's not about me that, look, I am this, I have that. It's not about that. It's more about what's going on in your life.
Yeah. And it's not having an agenda in it, you know. So
exactly.
It's not about, I need to get something from you, because, you know, some of who became clients were females, right? I can still remember once I was in a coffee place. This happened in my earlier days. I sat in a coffee place having my mocha. And there was a big table, and there was this lady sitting, and she had her
not with 4 biscuits, right? This time, just
no, this mocha. And I think she was reading, and I'm always curious, so I said, "Oh, what's that about?" And we ended up chatting. And then she said, "Well, what do you do?" He said, "Well, I help people going through transitions and challenges." I said, "Oh, tell me more." And they said, "Well, can I have your business card, because I know somebody who may need you?" I said, "Of course." And then a minute later said, "Can I hire you?" And the next day we had our first coaching conversation, and she had a breakthrough.
Wow, nice.
But for me it was not about, I need a client. For me it was, I'm just connecting with human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when I ask her afterwards, because what the heck, why did you hire me? Because I was a complete stranger to you. You know what she said? I know you know pain and that I could trust you. And that blew me away. And I think coming back to vulnerability, because I did share some of my story, it's vulnerability in the right context, in the right way used, can open people up. And when you listen well, as we said last time, attuned listening is the first way to build a bridge to people. And I wish that so many more people would take this on board. If you want to connect with people, start to listen with empathy. Because when people feel that you're really caring about them, that builds the bridge.
Yeah.
And most people have defenses up for rightly reasons, right? Because of maybe negative experience in the past, being hurt. So I understand that. And I had the same. But I realize, how can I lower the, I have always this picture of these castles with these tower bridges when they are up, remember? And that's basically the idea, that people have their defenses up, right? Because who are you? Just like you said earlier, what does he want from me? Is he going to do something to me, or is he doing for me?
Or
right?
want something from me.
Or want something from me. So that bridge stays up, right? But if I start to listen, and my only aim is, how was your day? What was your challenge? Or what brought you here today? And people start sharing, and I'm curious, and I say, oh, tell me more about that one. And what made you so excited about that one? It feels very natural. And interestingly, what tends to happen is that people feel relaxed, they feel seen, they feel understood, and they feel like accepted, maybe even feel loved, and the bridge goes down.
Nice.
You see, and that is the power of human connection.
No, it's research as well that we normally are interested and we enjoy talking to strangers, because there's a story, and it was shared by, again, David Brooks. That was an interesting thing. So what happened, they were in a conference with someone else, and that guy, he said, okay, let's play a game. Let's talk to the person next to you about your high points, low points, and your turning points in life.
Yes.
And everyone started groaning. They're like, no, we can't do that. And he said, okay, your time starts now. And they did that, but he put them through it. So they started talking. And what turned out, probably they gave them 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And that time passed. And it's time for them to start the conversation again. No one listening to them. No one stopped. They kept on talking to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally they stopped. And when they asked, okay, how many of you enjoyed that? Initially, how many of you don't want to do it? 80% raised their hands. They didn't want to do it. But after they had the conversation and they even overstretched, they went beyond time, they kept going on. And when finally they stopped, they were asked, how many of you enjoyed? Now it's almost 80% or more than that they really enjoyed opening up and having this conversation. Yeah. So it's like more and more and over again, we see that. And to be honest with you, most of the times, people don't have any agenda. And how many times I've seen it, I experience it on a daily basis. Every now and then when I start having a conversation, trust me, it's such pleasant conversation you would have. There's a bit of a risk, but that's the fun of putting yourself out there. Yeah, there's a risk of rejection. That's, again, being comfortable with the discomfort of being rejected.
Yes. Well, what does rejection really mean? Because you see, it's, if somebody is not open for it, that is basically highlights more about their capacity, over their awareness, where they at. And so I don't take offense.
It's more about that person. It's not about you.
Yeah.
What you were doing, you just wanted to open up, say hello, and have a conversation with someone, and either they can take it nicely or they can just pass you through their own filter and see something in you that is not there at all.
Yeah.
So, bringing our conversation, we were talking about what success actually means to us or any individual when no one is watching. Because as I was saying, the whole culture is like, who's watching, who's looking at me? And if I look good, that's what success is all about. But it's not about, say no one is looking at you. What are you actually aiming at? What are you trying to achieve? So say, for example, this is another interesting idea. You probably have someone you idolize. I have someone I idolize or I like. So it's about that sometimes when we feel stuck in our life, okay, where am I going? What I want to be? Because I had a coaching conversation, like I had a coaching session with a guy in Spain, young guy, and he was telling me that at some point his goals, and he achieved. He said that he wants to achieve. I'm giving a broad brush, painting with a broad brush, so I'm not disclosing about him. He said that he wants to finally know his purpose and meaning in life.
Yeah.
And whenever I hear that, because this is a very popular term these days, everywhere on social media, everyone talks about purpose and meaning, purpose and meaning. So that made me curious. What's your definition of this purpose and meaning? The moment you know this purpose, like why you are here on earth, because every individual has something to give to the world, to other people. And when you know that, and then what meaning you get out of doing that, I think that's what the meaning is all about. Like, okay, my life and my existence on earth, it has meaning because I'm being able to do something, but most of the time it's not inward. It's like outward. Because that's an interesting idea that you have to see yourself from a place of other-centeredness. Like you take yourself out of yourself, stand outside, from outside, look at you. And see, and whether you find that what I'm doing, it has any meaning, and it is doing anything or adding any value to other people's lives. And that's what success is all about. I mean, that's what I think. What do you think?
Well, I resonate with that.
I mean, I would like you to add something to it if you want, and if I'm missing something.
No. I think to give yourself in service of something that is bigger than yourself, that it always for me involves other people. And it is not about possessions, it's not about materialism, it's nothing of that at all. That might be an additional bonus, but that's not the aim. For me, it's about how can I add value to someone that will improve their lives for the better, so that they will rise more in who they are called to be. And that gives me huge fulfillment. And then indirectly as a byproduct, I will feel successful if I've done that enough to counteract it in a way. I think, flip it the other way around, which I think is happening also in our society so much, is a self-obsession. It's almost like narcissistic.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What's your New Year resolution?
My New Year resolution? I don't have a New Year resolution.
Nothing? No plan?
Well, I have. Okay, I will flip this around. I changed my approach because I realized all these New Year resolutions, the people after a month, they dump it into the bin. I don't like it because it doesn't lead to anywhere. What I changed, which I found much more helpful, I choose a guide word. And that guide word is filtering my decisions in my interaction. And you know what my guide word is?
What is it?
You want to know?
Tell me.
Now you're curious, eh?
Yeah, you sound mysterious now. Making me curious.
The tension's built up now.
Curiosity is the motivation that gives you motivation. So that's my motivation to know more.
Connection. And is it interesting? Because this I found interesting. Without you reaching out to me, right? I had that decision.
Marco, you answered my question You know why I asked you that? So New Year resolution, everyone who's watching now, you ask yourself what your New Year resolution was. Most of the time you'll see that I will have a better health. I will eat healthy. I will make this amount of extra money. I'll have this promotion. Most of the time it's I. And as Marco said, that most of the New Year resolution, we throw it in the bin in a while because we get bored out of it. Because when it's just inward, it's not outward. As Marco said, connection. So we are not making any connection. It's the same old me, same person. You're just bringing more inside. What's the motivation there?
More misery.
More misery. Because again, you either achieve that, then you find yourself being inflicted by the arrival fallacy. Like, okay, I have achieved it. So what changed?
Yeah, but that other person has more now as me, and I can't have that. So I need to earn more than that person.
Exactly, and there's no limit to it. So there's no ceiling. So also, this is another thing. The idea of like knowing when it's enough, that's very important. I mean, everyone's enough is different. Contentment. Everyone's enough.
Contentment is a skill. It's really a skill. And I attended an event which was about entrepreneurs, and one of the questions came was, and I thought that's a really good one to ask yourself, what is your end point?
Exactly.
Because if it's 1 million, is it 200,000? Is it 50,000? You decide, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I've noticed, and this is what I mean, what I said earlier about when people increase wealth, some of them get into the loop of changing the goalpost. I need 10 million more. Oh, now I have 20 million. Then I will stop. And this is where then the dilemma comes, and you touched upon it earlier. People can have financial wealth. They can be, as we said earlier, millionaires, billionaires. By the way, I'm not against millionaires and billionaires. Let's be clear. For me, it's more about what is internally driving this. So you can be financially wealthy, but where's your emotional wealth?
Yeah.
Where's your relational wealth? Where's your mental wealth? Where's your physical wealth? Now, what I found interesting is they may be excelling in financial wealth, but a relational wealth and emotional wealth is bankrupt. What is life then about?
And also the motive, why you want it. Why do you want it? Say, for example, as you just said, because it reminded me of this new book that came out, Morgan Housel, The Art of Spending Money. Many people think that don't spend any money, just keep on saving. And he says that that's a totally wrong way of spending your money, or why do you earn your money? But why do you want that big house? Why do you want that new shiny car? Just because he has it, my friend or my colleague or my neighbor, or this car would let me go further, accommodate more of my family members. I can invite my friends to join me. And this is a better car. I can go further. Probably I can go to another country, cross the border. It's reliable. This is your reason. And you have that money, you spend it. Fine. There's no harm in it. And you also know this is the contentment. Okay, that's my limit. I wanted this car. This is the reason. And if that gives me that, because you already know the why. It's not because someone has it, because then you'll find another competitor who has a bigger one. But if you know the reason, I want it because it will hold more people, it's reliable, I can drive further, then you already have the answer for the why. And then you know, I have it, it's fine. Okay, you have a bigger one, you have a more expensive one, you have a Tesla, a new one drives automatically without a driver, fine. But my one takes me A to B, and it's reliable, and I can have all my friends, my family, and everyone in that one car. I'm good.
Oh, it can be, to be honest, that reminds me of a story of a wealthy couple who was basically doing what you said, keeping up with the Joneses. You know, if people don't know that phrase, it's basically what he said, oh, they have a bigger car, I needed a bigger car. Oh, they have a bigger house, I need a bigger house. And that's what they did. Oh, they have more luxury paintings. Oh, we should have also have Monet in our house, for example. And they begin to realize at a certain crush point, what the heck are we doing? And they had a yacht, they had a house, they had art, they had whatever, and they realized this is not it.
Mm.
And what they decided, they simplified their life by design.
Mm.
So they got rid of most of it, they sold it. They sold the yacht, they sold the paintings, the whatever. Most of it, they got rid of it. Part of the money they invested in a charity that they feel served a higher purpose. There you go. And they simplified their life with a house that were content with.
Mm.
And they're much more, as a byproduct, more happier. I think sometimes, because you touched upon something, the contentment is, I think, learning to be content with what we have, I think, is the skill we need to learn. Because if you can't be content with what you now have, you will never be happy or satisfied. There will be an endless engine.
And to feel that, you need to keep on chasing. You will ignore everyone else around you.
Yeah.
You're not creating any memories or anything because you're chasing. And for what? To get that different brand or the more expensive, whatever you want. Or you need to have more. But while you have it, if you enjoyed it and be content with this, then you don't have to spend that time chasing. You can spend that time with the meaningful memories that you could have created with the people around you.
Yes, and that sticks much longer.
Exactly.
You see, because when you're gone, then people will remember the memories that you've built or not built.
Mm.
And I think you saw that post there about people are sometimes very skeptical about historical figures who lived thousands of years ago, whether they even were real.
You either need evidence for that, or even if you have evidence.
If there's yes, exactly. If, no proof of evidence doesn't mean that the person doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Right? And to flip it around, how would you prove that you exist 3,000 years from now?
Exactly.
Right?
Or even if you can't prove it, who cares?
I know, but it's more about why are you so concerned that something might be real or not? Yet we can't even prove for ourselves whether we existed 3,000 years from now.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
right?
the thing.
So but to me it comes then back to, well, what am I leaving behind?
Mm-hmm.
What is my imprint? What is the residue? What is the deposit? And here comes the stark reality. To give you an example of an executive who basically earned high salary, lived in the Los Angeles kind of posh environment, access to membership clubs, the certain lifestyle that was basically supporting it all, but he hated his job. He smoked, drank alcohol in order to cope with all the stress and anxiety, worked 80 hours or more a week. His relationship with his wife was on the brink of divorce. His children didn't know him. And eventually ended in hospital and he died.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear that, I would have loved to have challenged him and said, what if you paused the pause button, and basically have this conversation. You say that you hate your job. What if you slow down, ask yourself the real question, well, what is it what really makes me come alive? And if you're afraid of, but then I don't have the private membership clubs, then I can't have this certain lifestyle. But what is wrong about simplifying your life by design and start doing something that gives more fulfillment? Plus, on top of that, you maintain your relationship with your wife, your children will know you who you are, and you possibly have lived longer because you didn't have to cope with the stress with alcohol and smoking and what have you, because you already learned a different lifestyle.
No, like today, this morning, I came to learn about men who have had a very successful life, a lot of money. He had multiple relationships. It was not hard for him to get a woman. He was a good looking person. And on top of that, he had the money. So most women would be like, okay. But in doing so, he made most of the time wrong choices. So he ended up having multiple marriages because every time he wasn't happy, because it was easy to get those women, but what those women are coming for, that wasn't clear. And he didn't realize that, okay, that's what I wanted and I have it. And now, at the age, I mean, he's quite an advanced age, in his 70s, I think. He ended up in a care home, leaving his house. The house is still there because he has dementia now.
Wow.
So it's hard for him to remember, and people started taking advantage, financial advantages and other advantages, because he gives money to people he forgets.
Yeah.
So now the family members, they have decided that he should be in a care home, and he accepted that. And he'll be living with strangers, leaving his big house and the life he had. Everything's behind. End of the day, all the children he has, no one's with him. All the wives he had, no one's with him. And all the money, fine, it might be distributed. It might even be a cause of, contention among children because, when you have. So the question is, what do you value and what decisions do you make? Because you end up making those wrong decisions when I feel like your eyes are not properly open. I mean, the inner eyes, I would say. And you cannot judge the person standing in front of you, what they really want from you and what they value you for. And then you end up thinking, because it's more like the deal friends I was talking about, not the real ones. So someone who's valuing you, saying good things, and you're like, okay, we have chemistry and I should get married to you and you're my partner. Came to you for wrong reasons. Probably that's your money or your looks or something. The look is gone. You had an accident. They're gone. You lost your money. They're gone. So end of the day, it's very important to realize, I feel like, that what we're striving for and the idea of that I need to achieve the success, and my success has some value when other people can see it and when they can appreciate it and when they can, clap, just saying that, you have arrived. If we work towards that, end of the day, there would be a time, I feel like, we haven't worked for the real things that really matter. Like having someone, at least one person, who would be sitting next to you on your deathbed. I mean, it's a personal thing I want to share, but I have this sadness every time I think about my dad. Despite having this family connection along the line at some point, it's not his fault, but he has two sons, me and my brother. We left the country. He was left alone with my mom, and he was looking after her because she wasn't mentally okay. With his heart condition, he was doing it. But the day he died with another stranger in the room, in an emergency room. I was in a flight coming to him. I was on the runway when he passed away. And there was no one there next to him. And he didn't have a familiar face or a hand to hold. That's what life is all about. I mean, despite he spent the time, he tried his best to be with his family, and he was like that. I don't have any complaint against him for that, on that account. But still, after trying, he had that ending. That breaks my heart every time I think about it. And I always pray that no matter what, I hope that's not my ending, Because
and that comes back to your relationship, your connections.
Exactly.
And that is then determined by your values, your why. And the interesting thing is, it's not about achieving a lot of money. Because this is the thing. This is just to tie into this. When we are in our being, our doing becomes much more advanced. Most of the achieving is striving. It's not out of being. And I realized for me, the moment I stop striving and I start to be, accepting where I'm at, the game changes.
No, you need to be the person and become the person that your goal requires, whatever that is. If your goal is, say, for example, whatever that goal is, but say your goal is connection and being around with people, then you need to be that person. And that will be the ultimate manifestation of your
Yes,
goal.
but what I mean with that is it must not become a performance
No.
trap. It's more about, okay.
No, that's what you become. It's not you're
Yes.
just outwardly, people can see, okay, Marco is very friendly and this and that. No. From internally, you're just that person who's friendly. You're not
Yes.
pretending to be friendly.
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
being.
Yes.
So that's very important.
You know, the sadness that you felt about basically dying alone with no one around. And that is in reality increasing our society.
That's what happened to my mom too. Same.
And that's heartbreaking.
After 6 months, she was in a care home because both my brother and I, we live in a foreign country, which is our country now. This is where we had been many, many years now. And we couldn't be there. We stayed. I stayed, but how long we could have. So we had to find a place where she would be cared for. She was looked after. It was nice. She had her own flat, 2 people to look after her and everything, but they were strangers, right?
Yeah.
Even though she couldn't understand because, as I said in the last episode, she has schizophrenia. So she didn't know. She didn't even realize that my father passed away. But even when she was dying, there's no familiar faces. Probably she would have recognized.
Yeah.
And also, at least someone to hold her hand, No one. So both my mom and dad, despite everything they did with this close-knit small family with 2 sons, when they left, they just left alone.
Yeah.
And with another stranger in the room. Just another. And my mom's case, there was probably another guy, a doctor standing. In my father's case, another doctor in A&E standing. That's all. And he couldn't say goodbye. And can you imagine the helplessness? You know that you're going and you can't even say goodbye to those people that mattered to you. And you had all the memories in your head. I don't know. And I heard that people go through all the highlights of their lives just before their brain just runs through all those things. I just heard. I haven't been through it. I'll know when the time comes. But the thing is, if they had been through it, it would be nice to have that person around you or those people around you. So that's what I feel like. That's like my North Star, as you say. And I feel like, okay, whatever I'm doing now, this other half of my life, I see that it's my second half of my life. Whatever I have done before, I've done. I've seen, I've learned. And for that, I am a little bit better from what I used to be. But I feel like I want to make sure that every single day, the nice things that I enjoy, probably not throughout the day, but every single day I have something that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
So, and I have the gratitude. And if I can keep going like this, that would be the success for me. What would be your success?
Live my way. And that basically means for me to help people discover their why, whatever that is.
Nice.
And the sky is the limit. And to help them to get aligned and integrated, because I'm convinced the more we are integrated emotionally, wholesome, not meaning perfect, that has an effect on our relationships, on our leadership, in the way we do business, in the way how we do other things in life.
No, in the community, in the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's reciprocated and it spreads out, the positivity.
Yep.
And even if it's hard and sometimes we find ourselves that we get burned, as I said, the preemptive vulnerability can, because not everyone has the well-meaningness that you have, but end of the day still, the success rate is higher. So people who are still worried about it and you have the fear, try to practice that more. So I think we should wrap it up for tonight.
Yes.
So you heard about our success story and our idea of success and our failure stories and the things that make us sad and what made us feel what's important in life and what we are holding as our North Star. So ask yourself today, after you have watched this one or listened to this one on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you do, that what would define your success and what would your success look like when no one's watching? So on that note, we'd like to say goodbye for this week and see you next week again. And again, as we say, have a good one.